What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Top 5 Podcast, a show where every week we choose a topic and give it a top 5 ranking. I'm your host, Ron McNerney, and joining with me today are my best friends, Zach Blanner,
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Colin Harding,
Yo, what's up?
and Matt Bush.
Yo.
During this past year, we've been watching a whole lot of TV, whether it's streaming shows we binged 100 times or some new ones we began watching. This episode is all about our top 5 favorite sitcoms. So, boys, are we ready?
Oh, yeah.
Of course. I'm ready.
Yo, Matt, can you do me a favor and hit me with your number 5 real quick?
My number 5?
Absolutely.
That's what we're doing?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to start with number 1?
My number 5 is Home Improvement.
Home Improvement.
Oh, wow.
Almost
Yeah.
made the list, Matt. Almost made the list.
I haven't watched it in a long time, but it was one of the shows that I watched with the family way back on repeat. And it made the list based out of nostalgia factor. And it's also a really good show. I really love Tim Allen as an actor. He's a really great personality.
I have a couple of nostalgia ones that I know we're going to talk about a good bit on my list. But is Home Improvement on anything you can stream it on? I would imagine probably Hulu, if anything.
Honestly,
it's on
I
the
have
free
no
ones.
idea.
I forget what it's called, though. It's like Pluto or something like that.
One of those obscure ones.
Yeah, one of the ones that you can do for free, but it has all of the old shows on it.
Kind of like Crackle for movies, essentially.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But yeah, Matt, do you have a favorite episode or anything that just reminds you of Home Improvement? Do you think you're a better builder now?
If I have a favorite episode, I really like something the gags are really good too. The dude, Wilson, whenever you don't see his face
Wilson's
ever.
the best.
He's always
Apparently,
advice and
Home
stuff.
Improvement is coming to Disney Plus.
Oh,
Is it really?
Really?
Coming to Disney Plus. I don't know when but I
didn't know Disney owned it.
That's
I
pretty
don't
cool.
really remember what channel it was on either, so I guess that's not super unsurprising for me or whatever I want to say.
It was
I
on.
kind of feel like it was
Nick
on
at
Nick
Night.
and Night.
It was Nick at Night.
Yeah.
It
that's
was
really
on
weird, then.
usually after George Lopez, I think. Kind of around that time.
It might have just
Yeah.
bought the rights eventually at some point.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
Probably.
surprised.
Yeah, I think the stuff on Nick at Night, it wasn't produced by Nick. It was more so its own show that would Nick just let air on its network.
Yeah, I mean,
Could
a
be.
lot of kids networks did that pretty much at night. I mean, the whole Nick at
Yeah.
Night is pretty much just for the adults, as if they're not already in bed by 10 o'clock anyway. But
Yeah, right.
it's more for the kids who stayed up late just to watch cooler TV.
For the kids who left their TV on to wake up to George Lopez.
Dude, we'll talk about George Lopez. He's America's dad. Let's be real. But boys, my number 5 is also a little bit on the nostalgia from something I watched as a kid. It is That 70s Show.
Oh, that
Ooh.
70s show. That's a good one.
A show that introduced me to the marijuana before I even knew what it was. A little too young to be on. It was on ABC Family or something when I would come home from school, and That 70s Show would be on. It's a solid show. It's funny how they portrayed it in the show. I loved the the circle cameras
scenes were the best.
Yeah, the circle scenes are the best. I don't really have a favorite episode or anything. I know I think the main character that kind of leads the show though has to be Red Foreman, of course.
Yeah.
Oh,
He is also-
obviously.
He is also America's dad. But I think one of the more memorable scenes is when Red finally catches them just smoking in the basement, and just you see all of the gang just in the kitchen being yelled at, and just having visions as if they were doing LSD instead of weed this whole time.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, when I was younger, it was probably middle school when I watched it. I was like, does weed actually make you think their heads are getting bigger or something, or they're flying around the room? It was yeah, it's not like that
Dude.
at all.
I swear on TV, they always make weed seem like it's so much more than what weed is. It always seem in
Yeah.
Big Mouth, they're losing their mind and all. It just makes you sleepy and want to eat some Cheerios.
I mean, maybe the 70s weed hits you different.
I mean, that's fair.
I mean, there was a
I
lot
can-
of stuff going on in the 70s.
Yeah, true. So like there could honestly could have just been laced with so much crap that
Yeah.
they just never knew for being 17-year-olds also, which I honestly feel like the show kind of gets away from a lot, even though they go to high school in like some of the episodes and stuff.
Some of the episodes.
Yeah, it's a very like I guess mature show for like the cast's age, you know, except Mila Kunis because
Yeah.
she was like 15
Well,
when she
none
started.
of them were high school age, dude. They were all like in their mid-20s.
Yeah, they were all 20.
Besides Mila Kunis though, she was like 15 when she started on the show.
I didn't know.
Was she?
Yeah, like her first, she did an interview because she's married to Ashton Kutcher now. But her for one of her interviews, she said her first kiss ever was just on scene with Ashton Kutcher, like for the show. Like she's young, she was very young when she started. She lied about her age for like getting into the cast, but yeah, there's a good age difference between her and Ashton.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
Well, shout out to her for looking as good as she does.
yeah, and being Meg in Family Guy, being the butt of so many jokes.
Oh my god, is
She's
she
a lot of
making
characters in Family Guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's always funny because they always just call Meg super ugly and just all the other obscene stuff, and you just realize it's Mila Kunis.
Oh my god.
But yeah, that's my number 5. Colin, what is yours?
So this time, I don't think I really have much of a preface for this. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even
Whoa.
think I really have a preface for this one.
Wow.
So that's my preface. You're welcome. Gotta have it though, you know?
The spreadsheets are away.
So my number 5 is Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh wow.
Okay.
I really enjoy Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I keep coming back. Like something that I do, it was kind of like I don't know, everybody has that show that they kind of just put on, but like Futurama was kind of one of those shows where I would just put it on and put it on as like, I don't know, I just need something in the background, or I'm going to sleep, or like I really enjoy this show, but I'm gonna like kind of be there for it. And that's kind of what Brooklyn Nine-Nine is at this point, since I've watched it so many times. Is it's just one of those shows where I'm not irritated whenever it's like one of the bad episodes, because I really don't have any bad episodes. And I'm not like, okay, let's skip this episode because I don't want to listen to this episode again. This one was just aggravating or whatever. So it's something that I can just put on and not be upset with.
That's fair. I mean, that's how some of the shows I have in my list and honorable mentions are. Like, they're solid, like, either just shows to watch that you can just, you know, end up just sitting on the couch and watching, or something to listen to in the background while you're, like, cleaning or cooking or something. Like, that's what that 70s show was to me a lot in college. At least Greg and I would, like, usually, like, if we're making dinner or something, it was one of the shows that was on in the background.
Yeah, I mean, there was just something kind of like I mean, Brooklyn Nine-Nine's fantastic. I love Andy Samberg was like one of my favorite SNL kind of people back then. And now he's like gone off and kind of done his own thing, which is really awesome because he's super funny.
He's a great artist, just generally.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a really funny guy, and he's very creative with all the stuff he just ran. Like, I think a lot of the stuff that he comes up with is honestly just like he's sitting in his home, and then all of a sudden he's like, huh. And then he's like, let's make a TV show about this stupid thing that I just thought of, you know? So I really enjoy it, and it's my number 5. It also, I think something with that was, it was a really close call between Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Community. Because Community is another one where like they have some really crazy episodes, but they're not like crazy and you're like, oh wow, this is so stupid. It's like, I don't know if you guys have watched Community all too much, but
No, isn't it old?
It's been
never
recommended to me on
It's
Netflix.
It's not that old.
not that old. It's not that old.
But like, didn't it like pop off after it was done?
No, it popped off during whenever it was going,
No.
but I think a
Community's
lot of people
newer than The
because it's
Office
on.
is.
Yeah, I
That's
think
what
just
Childish
because it's
Gambino was in,
on.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
Is he still in it?
no, he left whenever
Well,
he started his career as a musician.
Isn't the show over?
Yeah, the show's over now. They have a really good send off for him though, but it was a good show, and it was again one of those shows where it was just kind of like, I can put this on and not be upset with anything, because there's some
Yeah.
episodes where it's like it's just good, and it's fun. So
He got the multi-billion-dollar Fox deal
yeah,
to make Atlanta, so not really a reason to be on Community anymore.
Atlanta's so good.
Atlanta's tight. Apparently, we're getting seasons 3 and 4 this year, allegedly. I don't know if that's gonna come to fruition.
Well, Colin, I'm gonna be honest. I kind of forgot about Brooklyn Nine-Nine when making my list.
Really like.
I don't think
I
I
really
would've
like
put it
Brooklyn
on,
Nine-Nine. There's a few that I was thinking about putting on, but I think like there's just my thing is my sitcoms that I chose are the ones that I regularly go back to, and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to put on TV whenever like I want to do something, and I just need like something in the background, or if I'm going to go to sleep, or if I'm just chilling, like I'm going to rewatch some of my like more favorite episodes from these things, but I'm not going to like pay super attention to them.
I feel like that's honestly what defines like a good sitcom is you have one good experience with it, and then after that it's just something that can easily capture your attention just as easily, but also equally just as easily lose your attention.
Yeah.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine's probably my number 6. Like, I forgot about it, but I don't think I put it above Home Improvement, to be honest.
That's
like it's really funny, and I really like watching it, but I don't know if it makes my list if I remember it.
But yeah, Colin, I think one of the best scenes from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I think pretty much all of us can agree to this, is the interrogation, or like the identifying.
The one where they sing Backstreet Boys?
Yeah, where they sing, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Whenever they're
Dude, it
identifying
killed me.
the man, he's like, yeah, that's the guy.
Dude,
that's the guy that killed my brother. I forgot what we were doing here.
I think the best part is after she says that, and he's like, "Oh my god, I forgot about that part." I equally also forgot about that part.
Yeah,
it was so funny.
It's a solid scene. I think it's one of the best like cold opens to an like.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think something that I like about their show is that like that opening scene, is just a skit. Like sometimes it has a little bit of involvement with the whole episode, but a lot of the time it's just a funny skit that I think he just came up with.
Right. And I mean, he pretty much carries the show.
I don't think Andy carries it.
He definitely
I think honestly,
his, like,
I'm a big fan of Captain Holt.
Yeah, no, because like all the side characters in Brooklyn Nine-Nine are really funny, and like actual personality to them. I'm gonna get into that later, probably. Like, I know I definitely am, but they do a good job of giving all the side characters enough to do. Even like Scully and Hitchcock have like whole backstories and are interesting. Yeah, they even get their own episode. Like lots of the
Scully
older sitcoms don't do that.
Whenever Scully
it's Thad from Blue Mountain State, and he's in the backstory episode.
Who is a phenomenal actor.
Oh yeah,
like period.
Yeah,
he
is
really good. Such a good actor. He's in Teen Titans. He's in New Girl. Oh man,
I just like
New Girl, wasn't he?
I like whenever they solved Boyle's investigation like within a day after Boyle like called them incompetent.
It's like, no, we're good detectives. We're just lazy. We just don't.
Yeah, and they were like, we're just old. Like, we don't want to do that anymore. And he's like, yeah, but you guys like should get some recognition for this. Like, this is really good work. They're like, yeah, but like if we do that, then we don't get to do paperwork and sit at our desk all day. So he was like, you take all the credit for it. And I don't know. There's a lot of things like that I feel like, while it probably didn't take much to think of it, it's something that I wouldn't have thought of. Like, the two retired guys who aren't actually retired, but use their job to be retired.
They're just sitting there waiting for their pension.
Yeah.
And then they're out.
I think every scene with Terry is a great scene. Just
Terry.
Everything with Terry, yeah.
Terry needs
he's an amazing actor. He's hilarious.
Yeah, okay.
Don't touch
yeah, I love Terry. I love whenever he's trying to whenever it cuts to him being fat and his like relationship with food.
Whenever he's eating, it was like popcorn bites, but I can't remember exactly what it was called.
The popcorn bites.
He started eating like some of those. I forget what they were called, but they're like these little tiny like they're like. And Boyle was like, "You have to stop eating them," and he was like, "No, I'm good." And then like he was like mega fat within like 2 days.
Yeah, I love that. I love Santiago Holt. Holt's hilarious.
Oh yeah, I think Santiago Holt. And like whenever they bring in, I forget what his name was there. It was like Rami or whatever, but the I can't think of his name right now, but he plays like I'm so bad with names. That's the problem. He plays the pillow guy in Big Mouth, and he plays in The League.
Nick
Oh.
Kroll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, no, Nick Kroll or
Oh, I thought you said
Nick-
like Nick Wolf or something.
No, Nick Kroll. That's the dude.
no? He's talking about
No,
Robbie.
no,
He's
Pillow
talking about
guy.
Robbie from the. Yeah, he's talking about
Robbie
Jay.
from New Girl?
He's talking about the guy who voices Jay from Big Mouth.
Yeah, Jay. There we go.
I know
Yeah.
Nick Kroll. That's his show is Big Mouth.
No, I
Yeah,
just meant
but
like
he's talking about
the
the
one who
actor.
does the
Oh, you meant
voice
because
for it.
Nick Kroll is in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, if I remember correctly.
I thought you said like Nick Wolf, and I was like, I think that sounds familiar to me.
Yeah. I don't know
I've
the
never
actor's
seen
name.
Big Mouth, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember what he played in there, but like he made that short appearance for like 2 seasons, and that was really funny. Like I really enjoy him as an actor, so like it was
Yeah.
just nice seeing him, and I feel like that's something that like they did very well. Is they were like, let's just get a bunch of people in on this because Andy just kind of enjoys the community. I think.
Yeah, I think I just like how well thought like the jokes are. Like I feel like they always surprise me every time they like not every time now that I've seen it, but like when I was watching it, I feel like I never really saw where the punchline was going, which I
Yeah.
think is something that a lot of sitcoms are starting to like have happen. Like I know like now Big Bang Theory, something nerdy or pop culture is the topic. Okay, let's make a nerd joke. And then there's a haha, it's funny. But with that, I feel like it always blindsided me with Brooklyn Nine-Nine as to where it was going. And I love just like the wackiness of it. How it's able to like keep this wacky air of like obviously all this stuff could never happen in like an actual police station. But they also have enough of like serious things that happen that like it doesn't feel like, oh, this is just some like satire on like a police office.
Yeah.
Or a
Like
police
it's still
station.
kind of
It's
like an NCIS, but if you just made it more comedy oriented instead of
yeah.
And I think that's a part of them bringing in, because like, you know, in like NCIS and stuff, they bring in like the special guests as the criminal or as the special investigator that solves the crime or whatever, and like it's fun. But with this one, like they bring in you know, funny guy number one to play the crazy boyfriend that'll be there for 3 episodes, or you know, the reoccurring Pontiac Bandit, or you know, like there's like a sense of community with that show, I feel.
I will say, I think what Brooklyn Nine-Nine did is every year the Halloween heist.
Oh yeah, the Halloween heist was fantastic.
Every time I switched to a new season, I looked forward to watching that season's version of the Halloween heist. And I don't think that happens like with Christmas specials or Halloween specials typically for TV shows. Like it just doesn't happen. So I did a really phenomenal job of doing that.
But yeah, it's a very solid show. I think Andy Samberg does a fantastic job in the writing for it and everything. But yeah, Zach, what is your number 5?
So my list generally it doesn't really, it's all kind of like more recent stuff that I've watched within like the past like 5 or 6 years. But my number 5 is The League.
The League.
Yo,
I never finished The League.
Oh,
you never
The
finished
League?
it?
Mm-mm.
It is so funny in the like just with like the wacky stuff that happens, and I love how like it just gets crazier as the seasons go down the line. The way that Andre is always the butt of the joke is so funny, and then John Leole's role that he plays in that show as Taco is
Sean Lajoie, not Leole. What the fuck
he's
is
French,
Leole?
my guy.
I thought it was Jean Leole. I swear I heard one of you guys call
it's
him.
not
that, and that's
even
what
it's
just
not
came
even
up with.
spelled that way.
It's not even remotely close.
Oh well, whatever. He's a French. Whatever. It's French. Okay. So yeah, Jean Lajoie.
Ravioli.
John Ravioli.
Oh my god.
Yeah, him as Taco is great. I never like the only thing I knew was his YouTube videos, right? Of like the
Back
Show
in
Me Your
like
Genitals.
2008.
That's the only thing I knew. I didn't know he was an actor or did anything, but like, and I think
he
after
really
seeing
didn't.
that and being popular for like that, like he still has like he still plays that like that dumb like kind of stupid humor character, but like I love the episodes whenever Taco's like really smart for no reason.
Yeah.
Or like he spends like it's like there's like the main plot of the episode or the main story arc, and then Taco's always on his own doing something else. And he's like he's very much like that type of friend that's always been there and always is there, but like is never like you never hear from, and when you do, it's always because of some weird thing. Like
Propane toilet seat.
Yeah, like they just invested in some new business, or they're like, like they just woke up from, some crazy edible or whatever. And yeah, like Nick Kroll's character is hilarious. I love like the dynamic between what's his name? From Jenny and is that her name? Jenny? The wife?
It's been so long, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's been a while since I watched the league.
Yeah, but the wife and the husband,
because she's like, let me play fantasy. I run your team anyway. It's just like,
I love how they just like slyly work in actual NFL players like all the time.
Oh, yeah, right.
Just casually, they're just in episodes. Yeah, I just think it's funny. It also kind of reminds like, I think we started doing the Game Awards bracket right before I started watching it.
No, we watched the league first.
And that's where we got it from. We watched the league a while.
Yeah, I was way before. Yeah,
because I watched the league in back in high school was when.
Yeah, I think it was like sophomore year of high school.
I watched it. But it like it reminds me so much of like just honestly, there's a lot of like dynamics that happen in it that remind me a lot of like our friend group. Well, I guess how our friend group was. But yeah, it's just so fun like seeing like the wacky stuff they get into, but also like every season's different. Like there's a new tone, because like for those of you who don't know and couldn't gather, it's about I think 5 or 6 friends who all are in a fantasy football league, and the whole season of the episode takes place during the football season and how they're doing in the league, and what happens. So yeah, I love the league. I think it's one of the few sitcoms I think I've watched that I'm like, this is genuinely really funny. But yeah, I actually probably I kind of want to go back and rewatch it. It's been a while since I watched it.
But I think it's on about Hulu. Like a year ago,
I think.
It used to be on Netflix.
Did they take it off?
It is on Hulu.
They took it off Netflix.
Did they?
Yeah, I checked recently, but Colin said it's on Hulu too. So.
Yeah, those ads, man. Those ads on Hulu. Man.
I mean, it really does. I watched 14 seasons of Always Sunny, and it's not bad, man.
Yeah, I watched all of Always Sunny.
Sometimes you get lucky and you're watching a bunch in a row, and it'll just skip all the ads for you.
No, my problem with ads on Hulu is just the fact that whenever I use Hulu, I will like I'll watch the TV show, and no, the ads aren't like long or super bad, but they're just long enough for me to like get on my phone and like start doing something on my phone that like I'll miss like a minute or two of like the show when it comes back on, because I'm finishing up a text or like I'm doing something else on my phone.
I don't think I've ever had that issue.
I mean, you can always pause the show when it comes back on.
Issue.
I mean, that's just why I don't like it.
That's a Zach issue.
Yeah, that's a Zach issue. These are one of the famous Zach issues that we'll come across plenty of times.
I mean, if you do end up liking Hulu enough, you can always just spend more money if it's not a problem. It's bundled with my Spotify, so I don't care enough to.
Mine just rolled over. Sprint. Mine just ended.
Well, mine's over, but I've never been charged for Hulu still. Like, it's still included with Spotify, I believe. So mine's been over since November or something. Yeah. $10 a month for Spotify and Hulu, like, it's still not a bad deal. So
I honestly might just get rid of Hulu. I'll be real with you.
I mean, you can hop on mine then. It's up to you.
I just got HBO Max for free with our upgraded phone plan.
Ooh.
So
I mean, honestly, this
really
isn't a podcast conversation, but we could all sit down and just figure out the streaming services and who wants to pay for what.
I get Hulu for free, so.
Well, la-di-da.
We can like every phone
is like
every phone on Sprint gets a free Hulu plan. So wow. If you're into
this is not an ad.
Honestly, for those of you who are looking for streaming services and stuff, like definitely like take the time to sit there and like look through like what phone plans offer, what bundles there are.
Yeah.
Maybe like, you're sitting there and you're like, I have like right now, if you have Verizon, you can get like HBO for an extra $5 a month instead of $15 a month for the subscription. So
I don't. It's not HBO. It's Disney Plus.
no, it's HBO.
I know AT&T does stuff with
AT&T
HBO,
gets
but
HBO.
it's
Verizon
very
gets
specific
Disney
stuff
Plus.
with AT&T, which is why we don't get it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, like, always look
you have to be on the
forward to,
5G plan.
We
to
are
get
on
Our year
the
just
we are on the
ended,
5G
so we
plan.
get
We need
ESPN, Hulu, and Disney.
hotspots with our AT&T. We don't have the hotspot plan, so that's why.
plus if you guys like,
Hate to see it.
if you have what is it? I think if it's just if you have Xbox Gold right now, you get 2 months of Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's
So-
something like that for whatever. Like it's just an entry thing, like justify the cost. But yeah.
So like always look at like these bundles and stuff because you can get a lot of free months and stuff.
Yeah, but like honestly, if something like Hulu is like sounding good to you or something you want to try, click on the link in the description of the video.
Yeah, that's no. We're not affiliated, so there will be no link.
There will be no link.
Yeah. But
Hulu
yeah,
doesn't even know we exist.
to get past the
For a free
sidebar,
month of.
to get past the sidebar, Matt, what is your number 4?
My number 4 is a show that I don't think most of you have seen, but I would recommend to all of you is Arrested Development.
I love Arrested Development.
Dude, Arrested Development
You
is
told me to watch it
Dude,
before.
Arrested
hysterical.
Development
It's
is so
funny.
good.
I started a while ago. That's with Jason Bateman's in it, isn't he?
I don't know names, so
I don't know who Jason Bateman is.
He's
He very well might be.
You're talking about
he's
State
in
Road?
Ozark. I don't know.
Or
Will
Beef?
Arnett is in
No,
it.
Jason
yeah, Will
Bateman.
Arnett. That's a good one.
Michael Cera is in there too, like pre-fame. I think it was
Pre
like before
and
he blew up.
after because they brought it back after a while because they canceled.
Yeah, because
it and brought it
Netflix
back.
bought it, and then I haven't seen like the Netflix stuff.
Oh,
I've
you
seen
gotta
the
watch the Netflix stuff. It's
pre-Netflix.
even better. It's honestly like they didn't try to reinvent the wheel and like say, hey, let's do our thing. They said, let's just keep doing what made it work.
But the stuff before Netflix is some of the funniest things I've ever seen on TV.
Oh yeah,
It's just so good, and that's why I made my list. Like, it's just hilarious. Like the stuff like the humor is like so dry
yeah.
that it's like they're almost trying not to be funny, but it's just hilarious what they come up with. And they have like a narrator type deal, and like they use it really creatively. They sort of like the character will say something, and then the narrator will like contradict what they're saying
Yeah,
in a way that
it'll
like
just be like a big fu.
like spins it in a way. Yeah, in a way it's just a big fu to what they're doing.
No,
And
it's a fantastic show.
it's also kind of like an Always Sunny type deal where none of the characters really like each other.
Yeah,
Like at all. Like the main character, Michael, he hates his family like with a passion, but he has to like try to keep them together. His dad is so like the backstory is like their dad builds like this real estate empire and then gets arrested for like working with Al Qaeda or something, like selling houses.
he gets like arrested for like embezzlement, selling to
Yeah,
Al
embezzlement,
Qaeda,
like all this stuff.
like literally like imagine what everybody's ever been convicted of for like those kind of felonies. That's what he's been convicted for.
And like
blue collar crime or white collar crime?
Yeah, like all kinds of blue collar crimes.
And like all his family is just like scumbags and like bums living off his parents'
His mom's
money and
like the
stuff like that.
stereotypical like drunk old white woman that lives in her mansion.
She's like super racist. It's
Yeah,
hilarious.
the sister's like this like oblivious bitch, and you got like the son is like this really confused, shy, awkward kid. Michael's like the average person, really, and he's trying to like survive his family.
And Will Arnett is like this crazy magician who's trying to like make it.
Well,
big.
it's not even like he's a magician; he's just crazy in general.
They're illusions, Mike.
And then their other brother is like this like insane like I don't know if he technically does have mental issues, but like with how insane he is, he might just be average and insane instead of like having like some kind of like autism or something.
I think Tobias is my favorite character on the show.
Oh my god, Tobias Funke.
So Tobias, like his whole like shtick in the show is that he always makes like all these sexual innuendos, but has no idea what he's talking about. So there's this one episode where he tries to audition for the Blue Man Group because he's like an aspiring actor, and
Okay.
Michael comes home and he's just covered in blue body paint, and Tobias goes, "I blew myself, Michael," and Michael's like, "You do understand what you're saying, right? Like you shouldn't be saying that out loud." And he's like, "What are you talking about?"
This same character, he doesn't like to be naked, so he showers in Daisy Dukes. It's a fantastic
Oh,
show.
Is it on
forgot about
Netflix?
It is.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. They bought it.
So yeah, it like ended abruptly, and then Netflix picked it up like
Yeah, I think it was
some years back.
Fox who owned it, and they were just like, "Yeah, this isn't really working anymore. Like, people enjoy it, but you guys are getting a little like out of hand." So they canceled it, and then Netflix was like, "Oh my god, this show's hilarious. We're buying it." And then like everybody came back.
As Netflix does with their barrels of money.
Yeah,
Hello, it's Netflix. You greenlit.
Yeah, I just finished
Yeah,
Always
Arrested
Sunny, so I
Development
might
is
have
my
to
number
watch
4
it.
for sure. It is absolutely hysterical.
Yeah, I'll give it a watch because I need something new to watch now. But to go off of Matt's Arrested Development, one of the main characters being Michael, my number 4 pick has also a main character named Michael. It is The Office. Wow, shocking. Am I right, boys?
A little bit.
To
Yeah.
some, that might be too low on the
think it
list. But I think it's just placed correctly for the other shows that I have on here. We all watched The Office like together in high school. We did that and like How I Met Your Mother together. At least Zach and I did. As well as like Friends.
I think
and
How I
stuff.
Met Your Mother was more situational though.
Yeah.
It was also much more disappointing.
Yeah.
But
incredibly
Office is
so.
a solid show. Just recently taken off of Netflix. It's now on Peacock if you're interested. I believe you have to pay the Peacock to watch The Office.
Oh.
It only makes sense.
I think so.
You gotta
Really?
pay the Peacock.
I know
I thought Peacock was supposed to be completely free.
Well, no, they have some free stuff and stuff you need to pay for. So, like, if you want to watch 2.5 Men on Peacock, you have to pay.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought
But-
Peacock was free.
Yeah, like, you'll just have ads if it's free. I mean, The Office might be on there for free. I'm sure they're not trying to deter people from using their platform, but at the same time, like, that is a money-making opportunity for them to charge for it, so it wouldn't surprise me. It's probably like $5 a month, though, if you do pay for it, so...
That is
I know-
something that, like, if you really pay attention, like, I was. This is like a little bit of a side note, but if you really pay attention to like who owns what's like things,
Mhm.
and then you realize like, oh wait, hey, how come this show is here, but you like, let's just say Fox, like the whole Disney thing, they'll have one superhero show here, one superhero show there, and like they'll spread them all out so that way you have to subscribe to everything in order to see the whole thing. And that's what I'm kind of noticing with a lot of things is they're like, oh, I know that like we own this, but we're going to put it on just this one so that way we make more money in our investment there.
Well, I know for Disney is trying to move everything over to Disney Plus. The
Yeah,
only
like,
reason
I
things
think-
are other places are just because of pre-existing contracts.
Yeah,
Well, they
like
just
Avengers
moved. They
and
just
stuff.
moved other things to Netflix recently.
To be on Netflix?
Yeah.
What did they move?
I can't remember. I was looking at it and I was like, "What do you mean this is newly added? Why wouldn't they put it on Disney Plus?"
It
Was
could have
it
just
like-
been a contract or like a side deal or something
Yeah.
kind of going
I can't
on.
remember.
Maybe to
but
just
from
bring
what it
more
looks like, is
attention
it
to
seems like a lot of places are saying, "I'm invested in this company, so I'm going to put one show on there so I can get return on investment."
Yeah, I don't know. That's a lot of the logistical side that I know we're not too familiar with. But yeah, no, I know the Harry Potter movies are also on Peacock. There will be ads, but I'm assuming if you pay for it, there just won't be. So it's kind of nice to at least have an outlet to watch Harry Potter too if you don't have the DVDs and stuff. I recommend going on though and giving it a look. I mean, it's really cheap if you do buy it, but the free version's decent too. It's just a TV alternative. That's pretty much what all these are turning into anyway.
Yeah,
CBS has.
I mean that
enough
was the
money,
goal.
so they don't need to really charge too much for everything. What were you saying, Colin? That's the whole goal.
That was the
streaming
goal.
services?
I mean, they were trying to make their own money without having to go through Verizon, Comcast, or the other one.
Dish or whatever.
or
DirecTV.
Dish.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dish, DirecTV.
Kangaroo, isn't that one?
But yeah, Office is a solid show. No idea where Jim gets the money to do all these pranks, but that's fine. That's probably why he might have
Dude,
a
he's
third.
selling paper.
I think he has a third mortgage
He's
on
gonna
that
save
house
The paper to make the paper.
of just pure debt that they have for all the pranks on Dwight. But yeah, I in my opinion though, once Michael Scott was gone, the show pretty much had to be carried by Dwight, and went down a bit, but Dwight had to carry the show.
I have to
I don't know
say,
if
I
it was
wasn't a big fan
exclusively
of
Dwight.
wasn't a big fan of what, Andy, right?
Andy Bernard Dog.
At Helms.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of him. Like, he definitely, like, every time he had, even after they reworked his character completely, like, every time he was on there, I was just like, he's kind of like screwing it up for me.
They
I can
ruined him
understand
too.
it.
They ruined his character. I don't
Yeah,
know why.
they
I mean,
ruined him
like,
at the end.
they
It was
started
so
off with
annoying.
like a really bad character, and then they brought him back, and they were like, okay, now he's okay, and then they're like, all right, let's ruin him again.
Yeah, let's throw him
Yeah,
in the gutter for no
It didn't
reason.
make sense to me.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ron.
No, I was gonna transition to the next one. So what's up?
Yeah, I mean, I like The Office. I think The Office is a very, very good TV show. I think for me, honestly, I don't even think so. The Office isn't on my list at all. I think the reason it's
Yeah,
not
Office isn't on my list either.
it's not even The Office that like it's not because of The Office. Anything that The Office does that didn't make my list. I feel like it's like more so the people and culture surrounding The Office that makes me not like The Office as much as I probably should.
That's fair.
Like
I like The Office a lot
I
more
just-
when I didn't watch a lot of TV.
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah.
like,
When I kept
Office was
watching more
really
TV,
good
I
in high
just realized how
school.
average it is.
Office was really good
Yeah.
in high school, and then like as you start to watch all of the other stuff, you go, "Oh wait, Office was good from like the middle of season 1 to like, I don't know, I think season 4ish."
I don't even know
And
if you could
then
say the end of season 1. I think the
I
first
enjoyed season 1.
Like
Season 1 was
I
good.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, but also if they took the same like type of comedy and everything that they did in season 1 and did it for another 13 seasons, I don't think The Office would have lasted as long as it did.
Oh
There's only
no,
9
but I just
seasons.
think it fell apart
No,
is what I'm
whatever.
saying. Is like it definitely, like, there was a certain
Yeah.
point after like season 4 where it seemed like they were like, okay, let's take these things that people liked and just make them insane, and that's not what we were really looking for.
Yeah, and I think what happens with The Office is it's like it goes from being like a top tier TV show, and then after Steve Carell leaves and like all that like bouncing around happens, it just goes to being like just a good TV show. You know, it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just, but it's not like I wouldn't say
mean,
it's better than any of the ones.
Once Steve Carell leaves, it definitely got like a lot worse.
Yeah,
But I think it kind of started to fall off around like season 4ish for me. Like, I just kind of like it, like a lot of the stuff that happened was very predictable, and I was like, oh, okay, like it started to become less funny because of how predictable it was.
yeah.
I mean, it's on my list, but I want to talk more when we get there.
But that's all I really have to say about The Office. But to move on to Colin, what's your number 4?
To Collins is a good throwback. One of my favorite ones. Me and my cousin would stay up a lot for this because, like, obviously it was after it was off air and it was on Nick at Night, and it was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh wow.
We
That's
stayed up
solid
for
show. I
Fresh
love Fresh
Prince,
Prince.
all the time because we love Fresh Prince. We had so much fun watching it. There was even a point in time, what was that, like probably like 2008 area. He bought the collected edition, and we went down to South Carolina and watched the whole collected edition on our way down or something. And it was really cool. Like, we had a lot of fun. Like, we would stay up at night and we'd watch it on the weekends and stuff whenever it was on back then. And like, we made sure that we'd stay up for it. Like, we'd be playing like Mario Kart Double Dash, and we'd have an alarm set so that way we could then get off Mario Kart Double Dash real quick and watch it. Like,
Yeah.
I really enjoy the show too. Plus, their Will Smith back in like November released a trailer for his new Fresh Prince remake.
Is he making a Fresh Prince remake?
Yeah, they're bringing it back.
Like the show, like
Mhm.
with Will Smith
Yeah.
and everything?
Yeah, they're gonna bring back most of the cast. They're obviously not bringing back the original Aunt Viv because Will does not like her at all.
And they can't bring back
Dude.
Uncle.
And rest in peace, Uncle Phil.
Yeah. So
the guy who played Carlton, he hosts Family Video now, the Family Home Video or Funniest.
America's
That's still
Funniest Home
on,
Videos.
which is crazy.
I know.
to me.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
well, that's because
I don't understand.
here's the thing: is
how.
The internet exists, people.
Like
the internet
TikTok is a
exists.
thing.
We don't need
Vine
this
was
anymore.
a thing.
the internet exists, and ridiculousness like somehow came out when the internet existed with Vine and stuff, and it's still making a ton of money.
Yeah, but at least,
Well,
the hosts of that show are funny.
Yeah, and
guess.
like ridiculousness, like they have that like rotating chair of like celebrities that are on.
I guess, but it's still not
Like
that
Tosh
funny.
is funny.
Like I like Rob. I
Yeah.
like all of his other shows that he's done so far, but this one I'm just kind of like I don't understand how it's that profitable.
At least
I don't
people like
understand.
Tosh
I
Point
don't.
oh is I think Tosh is funny.
Tosh is
I like
hilarious,
like
but that's
Tosh.
because
I
he's
like
a
Tosh.
comedian.
He also
Yeah.
but he also throws in his own skits during Tosh.0
Yeah.
and like stuff
Yeah,
like that.
you're not wrong.
Like
It's
Tosh
not
is an
just,
actual
like-
comedian where Rob was just a guy who has a lot of money from his skateboarding career.
Yeah, and he does dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Like fun stuff for sure, but stuff I'd probably do even now.
Oh yeah,
to be honest.
like Rob does a lot of stuff like his Dream Factory and like Rob and Big, like all the stuff they did was fantastic, and they always did very charitable things too. Like he's a good guy. I just don't understand how his show is profitable with the internet. You know?
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, if I could strap a rocket to a skateboard, for sure,
Yeah.
I'd do it. What's up, Ron?
I think one of the things I liked about Fresh Prince the most was that they did like focus on like actual real world issues too.
Yeah, I mean, like
within
the
they had the one
community.
episode where he meets the dead kid,
Mm-hmm.
who died from the drunk driving accident, and
Yeah.
it was because he had a drunk driving accident because he wanted to like cover that and stuff. There were lots of real world
Who,
issues
Will
that
Smith?
like, yeah,
Oh, no way.
I mean, he didn't in the show. He did.
Okay.
Yeah, like Will, his character had a
Right,
like drunk
right,
driving
right.
accident or something where, he was like, "Thank God I didn't hit anybody," and then like he fell asleep or he was in like one of those coma kind of scenes, kind of things, and he comes out of it after like meeting this little boy in a graveyard who he discovered to be dead to a drunk driving accident. So it's like they cover a lot of themes in there that are very important, and like I like those kinds of shows, and you'll see like through a lot of the other ones that I have. I like the sitcoms that are funny, but also manage to like teach you a lesson of some kind.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
Even we all know the best scene in the show by far is the dad scene whenever his dad leaves again, and he has like that moment with like Uncle Phil right before saying how he doesn't need him.
I think that's a big thing with Uncle Phil is Uncle Phil was always the ground in that show. Like he always grounded Will. And I think that's like a big testament to like, because it is kind of about his life. So I think that's like really cool that he had somebody in his life to be like, hey, like let's talk about like a real way to deal with this issue, or let's talk about like what this actually means. And that's something that he always put in the show, because that's kind of like what his mission statement with the show was. Like he was like, I'm glad I had somebody there for me. I kind of want it to be for people who can't have somebody like that in my like I did in my life.
Yeah.
Even the gun episode too, I think was really good when Carlton had the gun.
Yeah.
But yeah, solid.
Yeah,
solid series.
Yeah, I sadly never really watched it a whole lot. I've seen like a few off episodes or scenes from episodes, but like I really can't speak to it.
Yeah.
Same here.
Zach, what is your number 4? Bless you, Matt.
My number 4 is Parks and Recreation.
Oh.
I am one of the people who feels that it is better than The Office.
I agree.
I think
Yeah,
that
we all agree to that, right? Like no one's gonna sit here and say
yeah,
that The Office is better than Parks. Like
here's
wrong.
So here's something that I wanted to bring up, because I don't have The Office on my list either.
Ron's giving
Something
a look. I
that
think he likes The Office
is
more.
something that's important to remember, at least in my eyes, is like you kind of also have to compare these sitcoms to when they came out. So like Parks and Rec kind of came out around Office, but it's a newer one, and it kind of got to see like what people liked, and it made a show that people liked, where Office was one of those things where it seemed like they really experimented with it, and there were some episodes where I sat there and I was like, oh, this is not a good episode. And there were other episodes that I was like, this is fantastic. Where Parks and Rec, I was always at least liking the episode.
Yeah, I feel like Parks and Rec, like it's in some ways like The Office 2.0. Like I think it took everything that they learned from The Office and made a similar show that didn't suffer from aspects that I feel like The Office kind of suffered for. I love Ron as a character. Like Ron Swanson.
Ron Swanson with the Claymore is the best thing I've
character.
ever seen in my whole freaking life.
I would honestly, I would say Ron Swanson's a stronger character than anyone in The Office, aside from maybe Steve Carell.
Yeah.
My personal opinion.
They just hired better actors for Parks.
Yeah,
honestly, like
yeah.
Rob Lowe are all way
Aubrey
better
Plaza.
than all the side characters from the
Nick Offerman.
yeah, Aubrey Plaza, my future.
I mean, Chris
ex-wife.
Pratt. We're just overlooking
Chris Pratt before he exploded and became Mr. Big Superstar Man. Like he's hilarious.
but that's kind of what made him get there.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what got him.
That's
what got him the Guardians role for sure.
And I think that was something with.
Well,
Chris
he was
Pratt
already in
being
Zero
there.
Dark 30 before Guardians, so I think that like showed that he can do movies and like have like a series.
Well, yeah, that's
role.
why he lost a lot of weight was for Zero Dark 30 and stuff.
Yeah.
But he was. I think his character was genuinely only supposed to be like this boyfriend that showed up here and there, and then he just did such a good job that they were like, okay, we just have to have him there.
He wasn't supposed to be on full time.
I love like hearing him talk about like his time during Parks and Rec. There's like one story like whenever Chris's character thinks Leslie's trying to have sex with him, and he like supposedly shows up to the door naked.
Yeah,
he was talking about how they were on like their 20th take of the scene, and like the director just like for whatever reason like Leslie wasn't giving like Amy Poehler's character wasn't giving like the reaction I guess the director wanted. And he said he looked at the cameraman and he was like, he was wearing like nude underwear, right? For the scene, he can't be naked. He looked at the cameraman. He's like, hey, should I just take him off? And he's like, the cameraman was like, yeah, do it. So so he took him off. So he was genuinely naked. And that was the scene that they ended up using, was the one where he was naked on. Yeah, I love Chris Pratt's character, Aubrey Plaza as a character, Aziz Ansari's character, Ron Swanson, Nick Offerman's character, even Leslie's character. I know it's like kind of focused more on
is anything special.
No, but like I don't think I wouldn't like throw her out. Yeah,
I wouldn't throw her out.
And even like whenever Chris and Ben like come in from the like Donna's hilarious. I feel like roughly in every episode, like I see something I like from each of the characters, as opposed from like The Office, where like Stanley only has like a few episodes realistically that like
I wouldn't even say Stanley ever gets an episode. He just gets a couple lines. He gets like the one where he like claps at or he snaps at Michael whenever he gets really pissed off at him. But like that, other than that, like that's all I can really think of. I wouldn't even know if I'd call it like a Stanley episode. Like it's mostly just another. They're all Michael episodes. It's all about Michael. Yeah, but yeah. I mean, I'm not like I'm saying the reason I like Parks and Rec is because I feel like it's just a more refined version of like the type of show that they made with The Office. Which like it's not anything against The Office. It's just like Borderlands 2 is better than Borderlands 1. Like it's nothing to say anything negative about Borderlands 1, but Borderlands 2 is just the better game.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I was at with it too. Yeah.
So, yeah, I love Parks and Rec. It's really funny. A lot of memorable scenes. Like just Ron Swanson is just such a good character.
Whenever he gave the kid a actual live Claymore was whenever I was like, this is my like spirit animal.
Yeah, I love that. I love when I love the scene where he's asking about the coffee maker and everyone's blaming each other and like saying who broke it, and then it cuts to like his little interview. He goes, I actually broke it. But yeah, Parks and Rec number 4.
All right. Matt, what's your number 3?
My number 3, we were just shit talking it, but it's The Office.
Nice. Tell us more.
Even though I think The Office has its flaws, obviously, as soon as Steve leaves, the show nosedives in quality. Like the couple episodes of Will Ferrell was in are like actually really bad, and the dude from Blacklist, like he's like just okay, but he doesn't like no
I
one
don't
can
remember his
fill the
character name.
void.
I mean, I don't remember a lot of character names.
It
But...
was
Michael Scott.
what was his name?
His name is Robert California.
Yeah,
and,
that's
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
show.
He's like from the Blacklist. Like that's how I know. him.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's in a few other things too. He's a
He
good
did really
actor.
good in Blacklist.
He
though.
was Ultron. I remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then like it pissed me off what they did to Andy, like how they just like randomly made him an asshole for the last like season and a half.
Well, he was
For no
he was
reason.
a
Like, it was
like
just dumb.
psychotic person at first, and then he was like a sarcastic person whenever they reworked him, and then they all of a sudden took him back to psychotic, but then we're like, nah, psychotic's too much because they didn't like that. Let's just make him an asshole.
Yeah, like it's just stupid. But I do think that like when from like seasons 1 to through like 5 is like amazing television. Like when Michael was on and like Jim and Dwight are like at like the peak of like how funny they are, I really think
They're
it's just
mess-arounds.
gold TV. Yeah, they're classic
Yeah.
mess arounds.
Mm-hmm.
Like the episode, like especially when like Michael's dating Jan and like that whole arc is just hilarious. Like that portion whenever Michael sends the nudes of Jan to everyone in the company and they blow it up and hang it in the warehouse.
I love I will
And,
say
like, especially the dinner party episode is just like 30 minutes
the
of
mounted
pure
TV.
gold.
Yeah.
Oh, the plastic.
Oh my god, my plasma screen TV. What were you gonna say, Zach?
is his name Nick? The or no, Daryl? Is his name Daryl?
Daryl.
Daryl.
Yeah, he's
Daryl.
Daryl on the show.
He's a great actor.
I
I've been
really
trying to
like
but I
that they
love
gave
him
him
in
more
that.
stuff to do
Yeah.
Yeah,
because he's a
Yeah.
great actor. I love him in everything that he's in.
I love whenever he has an office up there.
Yeah,
With
and he's
everyone.
part of like
Yeah.
sort of-
Co-managing, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, I
solid
don't-
character.
like it's just amazing. Like it's just so funny when Michael's there. Like I don't think there's like maybe one episode I would skip when Michael's there. But other than that, it's just amazing. And like the side characters are like kind of blah sometimes. Like they're funny, but they don't really get to do anything because they just focus on like Jim and Dwight so much.
Yeah.
I will say, like, as far as like jokes and things like that, The Office gets away with a lot of stuff. I feel like if a TV show came out now, it just couldn't.
Probably.
wouldn't.
It depends. I think it depends on what network it's on.
That's fair.
Because
Well,
I mean,
Fox
I'm going to
gets
get
away
to
with
it
a lot.
later, but there are certain other shows that were still airing after The Office that got away with a lot more stuff.
I think there's things that like just because of how things are at the moment, like if you did that, it would become like cancel culture.
I think you'd have to spin it into satire. Like
Yeah.
you'd basically have to do with South Park. Like your own version
Yeah.
of what South Park's been doing. Because like they've adapted pretty well, obviously. I mean, you can't cancel South Park. They've tried for
No, you
20
can't
years.
cancel South Park.
So that's not their issue, but they've been spinning it in a direction where it's a lot safer for them to put out the type of content and jokes that they want to.
Right.
But Office is an amazing show until Michael leaves. I think overall it's still great because there's still stuff worth watching after Michael leaves, but it just takes a nosedive in quality.
Mhm.
But it's
Yeah.
still good enough to make number 3 on my list.
Well, Matt, Office was my number 4, but my number 3 is a show I think that's way better. I'm hoping everyone here will agree with. It kind of fell off after a certain point. It is 2.5 Men.
2.5
Ooh.
Men. That was a really good one.
Yeah,
I did
until
not
Ashton
actually
Kutcher
fall
came
off.
along. Best
See,
show
I
ever.
felt like the first few with Ashton Kutcher were bad, but like then all of a sudden like his character really like started to
Did
I
it?
kind of liked it better than Charlie.
Okay. I stopped
Really?
watching after like I think a season of Ashton Kutcher on there because I just didn't like it, and that's just kind of where I stopped watching it. But I will always
feel like-
rewatch Charlie.
I feel like it's not even like. I feel like it's not bad with Ashton Kutcher. It's just a new show. It's like it's not.
Yeah,
Two and
it
Half
was a
Men.
whole new show at that point.
Like, and then when they add like Charlie's daughter, I feel like at that point, like they obviously knew that like something was kind of missing, and they just tried to pigeonhole that and like try to revive some reminiscent thing. Maybe if she didn't end up living in the house towards the end, but like maybe just became like a side character that would pop in every now and then. But yeah, I don't know. I think like kind of like how you guys are saying what they did with Andy in The Office. I think they really just kind of destroyed Jake as a character. Like once he gets older.
I guess, but he also got older because, like, as a kid, he had an excuse to be dumb. Then it kind of like turned into like,
Oh, he was smart as a
kind
kid.
of dumb.
He was smart. Like he was
No.
like it's not that he was
No,
dumb.
He was
Like,
always stupid.
No, he's dumb.
as a kid.
That kid
Yeah.
was a moron.
Yeah, he's.
I
a
mean,
moron as
yeah,
a
but
kid.
no more than like a kid would like would
No,
be, right?
oh no, he was like
Was
he
he
was the
eating
kind of kid that
crayons?
would get held back multiple times in elementary school.
Oh wow, all right.
Like he
At least
wasn't
that's
like
the
Max
vibe I
and,
was
like,
getting from it.
like Max and George Lopez like has a reason because he's like dyslexic. That's why he get held back, but he's not stupid. Like
Yeah.
Jake and 2.5 Men is really dumb. Like just throughout.
And,
the
like,
series. Just a
Then
dumb
he
kid.
becomes like an adult, and he's still dumb, but like he misses all like the, I don't know, I guess cute qualities that his younger thing had going.
Yeah, he's just a pothead at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like 2.5 Men a lot. It's probably the only reason I'll ever pay for Peacock's service, just so you can actually watch 2.5 Men.
Yeah, 2.5 Men is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
I love the show. At some point I'm gonna be re-listening to it though, or rewatching it.
Watching it.
Until Ashton
I'm not
Kutcher
gonna-
is
I'm not
back
gonna
on.
watch
I might give it a
I guess.
shot when he is there, but I can't promise anything though.
It's not bad. I will say, I think the ending of the show was really well done. After
I never
everything
watched
happened.
it. I've been meaning to.
Yeah, the season finale or the series finale was pretty good.
But yeah, 2.5 Men's my number 3. Colin, what's yours?
All right, so I am
Are you gonna preface this?
no like
You
so
thinking?
a lot of my things were like, this one isn't one of the ones that I rewatch. Like, I haven't rewatched it in a while, mainly one because I'm not subscribed to it anymore. But Silicon Valley, it kind of hits home for me because that's like my interests and stuff. But there were like some things in it where they, what was it, the first season? I think it was the first season. They hired Stanford mathematicians and stuff, like actual researchers, to figure out how you could jerk off like 50 people in the fastest amount of time. And they had all the math actually written up on the whiteboards, and like the scene was these guys were trying to figure out how like monumentally screwed they were and how they could convince everybody to like pick their app to invest in.
Mm-hmm.
It was really funny. I think there's certain things in it, like if you're not somebody who's a tech person, you're not going to realize a lot of stuff. Like there's a picture on the wall. Was it Shannon? I don't know. Somebody else out there that'll be able to correct me because I haven't watched it in a while. I think it was Shannon who was on the wall. And like, if you're not a tech person, you don't really know who that is. Maybe if you're a physics person, you know like what entropy and like Shannon's entropy is a little bit, because entropy with like thermodynamics kind of shares the same idea. So like there's like a lot of like Easter eggs in it for tech people, which made it like more enjoyable for me. And it was a lot of fun to like hear like some of the dumb things that they came up with. Like I forget what they called it, like inside out compression or something, which is like the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but it's just so funny that like the way they handled it made it so much more funny for the show. And having like, they had characters that were so uneven, like none of them were really friends, but they were all friends, and none of them really had a bunch of interests other than like the few geeky things that they had interests in. And like there's a certain point in time where they have their own office in like season 4 or something. And I can't remember the character's name, but he listens to like Swedish death metal. And as his alarm, he has like all the speakers in the entire office go off as like just this one Swedish death metal guy screaming, and everybody just starts freaking out whenever it happens. Like there's just little things in that show that like add to the main idea of the show.
I've never seen it, if I'm being honest.
I mean, you have to have
So-
HBO to see
It's
it.
always
so that's
on
why I
my
don't watch it
like
anymore.
list of things to watch, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah.
But Colin, if
But it
that's
sounds
your
fun.
number 3, Zach, what is yours?
My number 3 is Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn
Now
Nine-Nine.
we're starting to like get into the area of like I thought Parks and Rec and The League and were funny and for sure had their moments that like actually made me audibly laugh. But Brooklyn Nine-Nine definitely is one that like it would usually happen every episode, if not every other episode. Like kind of what we said before. I love the cold opens like in the beginning of just like the wacky stuff that they do, whether it ties in or not. I think I think the show is equally clever, but also progresses the plot of it or like whatever they're doing. Like I like how each season has like not an overall goal, but usually like there's like a pretty high stake, like pretty high stakes for like a sitcom, like at the end of each season. And I just really appreciate that. I feel like the relationship between Jake and Amy isn't as predictable necessarily, but doesn't feel like as forced as like some shows feel like
Yeah.
love interests. I'm not saying that at times it can't be predictable and sometimes isn't like really forced all the time, but I think that as far as sitcoms go, I didn't initially see Jake and Amy getting together until like later on into the show, and then once they did, it didn't feel like how like a lot of relationships like Ross and Rachel felt, you know. But yeah. I mean, we pretty much talked already about Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but yeah, it's my number 3.
Matt, what is your number 2?
Yo. My number 2 is Parks and Recreation
Parks and Rec.
because it is better than The Office, so it has to be higher. I like Parks and Rec because I don't even know if it's because it's like genuinely funny. Like I know, like obviously it's funny, so that's why it's made my list. But I think a lot of it I like more because it has like a lot of heartfelt moments in the show too, and a lot of like really like big season finales that sort of just work well. I don't really know how to like explain it. Like it feels like there's a lot more big events in Parks than in like other sitcoms. They try to like build towards it. And I think that they do the relationships really well. Like I really like April and Andy and Ben and Leslie. And even when Ron starts dating that chick towards the end, like they're all done really well. And I really like, I've said this before, but like all the side characters get like cool stuff to do. Like you never feel like, I think like in some other shows, like they're sort of brushed off to the side. Like they're just used to like make jokes and stuff like that. But like Jerry, even like Jerry gets stuff to do. Like he has this hot ass wife and an awesome family and stuff like that. Like Donna gets stuff to do. Aziz has like his whole side thing that he's like trying to be a millionaire and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I just think like it when it all like works together, it just forms something really special.
Yeah. I mean, like we talked about it a bit before, but like I feel like if you remove a character from Parks and Rec, like their absence is felt in some way.
Oh, for sure.
Whereas like The Office, like if we just didn't see Stanley or we didn't see Creed or we didn't see Kevin for like a whole episode, like you don't act consciously recognize, oh, they weren't there.
They have to write a new joke without Kevin. They have to write a new stupid joke. And I will say that Andy Samberg's appearance in Parks is probably my favorite guest appearance of the whole series. I wish they
Right,
went back and did more with him.
when does he come in?
He's a park ranger, but his whole thing is like when he talks, he always screams at the top of his lungs.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
That was like my one thing. Like, I wish that they brought Andy back for more episodes.
He's a good like cameo character.
But yeah, Parks. I feel like it's like a very like charming and like feel good watch, and that's why I have it pretty high on my list.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm trying to laugh, I'll probably go to like other shows. Not saying that it's not funny, but that's not really what I get out of it personally.
Right.
Well, Matt, if Parks and Rec is your number 2, I feel like I know what your number 1 is. But I'm not gonna say it. But
Do you, though?
I do know what it is, but we'll get to it later. My number 2 pick is New Girl.
New Girl.
Yeah. New Girl is one of like the better discoveries for sitcoms that I've seen. I don't even remember when I started watching. It's a lie. I do remember when I started watching. I watched it like probably around like this time last year. It was like halfway through it. So I think like late 2019. One of my coworkers at the old Texas Roadhouse introduced me to the show, so we started watching it. I love the show. I personally identify with Nick. I know we all have our identified characters that we kind of go with for the most part. But yeah, I don't know. New Girl, I think, has been the best show to watch in the background also. More specifically just because Friends and The Office aren't on Netflix anymore. Netflix just more convenient because no ads and stuff. But yeah, New Girl also, like, it doesn't even matter how many times I've seen it, because I think I'm on my third like watch through of it. And there's still times where like something will happen and I'll bust out laughing and just won't be able to stop. Like, I'll have to pause. Like, the one scene that always gets me is the episode when Coach is leaving, and there's a scene between Jess and Nick when they're in Nick's room talking about like the sex mug, and he's like, "Look, I've been doing my cardio and my burpees, and you've been checking me out, and it's turning you on." And then he attempts to do a burpee, and his whole body cracks, and then he can't get up from the floor. And it's just the funniest shit ever. I love it. Nick overall on the show is fantastic, but he doesn't carry it. Like, everyone is hilarious too. Jess, Coach, Winston, and or Winnie the Bish, and Schmidt are all fantastic. I think the only one who isn't like really like consistently funny is probably Cece, but I don't really think of her as like a main character, so I don't worry about her.
They don't really give her a lot to do.
Yeah, like I don't.
Like, she's sort of just like there to like talk to Jess.
Yeah, Jess or Schmidt, pretty much. Yeah. But yeah, New Girl's a solid show. I love it. It's probably one of my favorite shows that I can watch, besides my number 1, of course. But yeah, New Girl's my number 2.
New Girl was one of those shows, like, I finished watching it, and then like the more I think about it, it's like the less I enjoy it.
Really?
I think it's good. Yeah, like.
Oh, I think it's the opposite for me.
I think a lot of the episodes are like the same. It's like someone tells someone a secret. They're like, don't tell anyone, don't tell anyone this. And then by the third act, they already tell everyone, and everyone finds out, and then they have to fix it, and then the episode just ends.
Like with the meth episode.
And like that happens for like 7 seasons.
Yeah.
So would Jess
like
think she has
it's good. I enjoy it. It's not on my list. I probably won't rewatch it anytime soon. But I don't regret watching it.
Yeah. Colin, what's your number 2?
So my number 2 is The Last Man Standing.
I knew we'd see it.
The reason Home Improvement didn't make the list is because Last Man Standing made the list. I felt like Home Improvement was like the precursor to Last Man Standing, and this time he was able to do what he really wanted out of the show. And I really enjoy it because I think it shares a lot of, it tries to focus on all walks of life, and it tries to like show you like, perspective. and there's always some kind of like meaningful lesson in almost every episode. And not only that, but Tim is absolutely hilarious. So it was just a really good show.
Yeah, I really like Last Man Standing. I think we talked about it before on the show, but yeah, it's just it's good. I haven't seen it in a really long time. I watched it a little bit when it was on TV, but ever since then, it's just,
Yeah, I've only seen a couple of episodes.
I watch it all the time.
I love Tim Allen enough that I need to go back and rewatch it.
It is. I mean, that's one of the things. Like I said, I'm somebody who, whenever I'm watching these sitcoms, whenever there's like, on top of it being like downright hilarious, if there's something meaningful to it, it's definitely going to rise to the top of my list. Like there's other ones where like New Girl, I forget what one I was rewatching with Alex the other day. She said Young and Hungry, that's what it was. Young and Hungry. Like they're funny, they're cute at times, but like that's all they are. Like they're definitely not making it that high up whenever it's compared to like these kinds of like genuine funny shows. Like genuine comma funny.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. What platform is it on?
It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Might
I'm
have
constantly
to be my next
rewatching it.
watch.
Yeah, I need something to watch. I might be rewatching Avatar: Last Airbender soon, or I might watch Harley Quinn.
Especially
Oh
with
yeah,
like,
no, please watch Harley Quinn.
in this
Anyone who's
Yeah, I
watching this,
co-sign that.
or anyone who's listening, if you have HBO Max, please watch the Harley Quinn animated series. It is fantastic.
Co-sign.
with uh with this show, there's a ton of character development, and it's not like, oh, we rewrote the character. No, like over the seasons, they slowly change the character to show you how they've learned from their past mistakes and stuff. And it still changes their character to be like a normal human who does normal human things and has their own screw ups, but also is absolutely hilarious because they all have their own quips, they all get their own lines in, and it's really good.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, I'll have to give it a watch at some point. But Zach, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Friends. I think Friends.
Why it has a
honestly.
laugh track.
Yeah, I know, but we overlook those horrible mistakes that I guess shows make now.
Completely terrible.
What's your number one, Seinfeld?
Probably.
I love Friends. Friends was actually the first, like, I think sitcom comedy that truly did, like, the jokes hit me in a way that, like, just like kept making me want to watch more and more episodes. Like, I love like the one-liners, the like Chandler sarcasm in it, and like the way he twists, or like he twists the joke, or like says something that like, or takes like a normal conversation to a funny place. I love that. Overall, I think it's probably one of the few like sitcoms that are on that long that holds together, at least older sitcoms that like hold together all the way through. I don't think the ending is anything too crazy, but like it also doesn't like mess anything up or like leave like kind of ruin the rest of the series, like something like How I Met Your Mother. Like How I Met Your Mother isn't a bad TV show overall, but like the ending really kind of just
The ending is trash. It
Yeah,
ruins
it
the whole
really
thing.
Yeah, it's awful.
it's easy after seeing the ending. It's so easy to forget
How good
that How I Met Your Mother was good.
the
Like,
beginning
everywhere.
middle part actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
so
in
butchered it real
defense of
bad.
the ending, though, it does wrap up the show for it to make sense why, like, it was the way it was.
Well, you know why it ends that way, right?
no.
Do you guys know? So what happened was, like, they didn't want, you know how they cut to the kids sometimes
Yeah.
in the beginning.
Yeah.
So they didn't want the kids to age up from the beginning of, because like when they filmed the show, like the first season, they filmed the ending, so they knew how they wanted the show to end, because they didn't want the kids to age up if they filmed it later, so it would look stupid.
That's fair.
so that way, so they always knew that Ted was supposed to end up with Robin, but they just like wrote the actual show in a way where it didn't make any sense for Ted to end up with Robin.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
felt like every single time that like he brought up Robin, it was talking about why he likes Robin, or like it was still about, like, the show was definitely still about why he liked Robin. It's just then there was like tons of things where it was like how he eventually got to meet like their birth mother.
Yeah, and you also like never saw like the wife like ever.
Yeah,
Well,
She
she's
got-
dead.
I mean, yeah, she.
Well, you
they
saw
kind
her,
of wrapped
and
her
then
up
she
real quick.
died. That's it.
Well, yeah, but like,
Yeah.
but her and Ted don't do anything. You know,
Well, I
they get,
think-
like, 2 episodes.
Well, yeah, but the story
Like, I
of How I
feel like
Met
I
Your
would
Mother,
want-
not How I Met Your Mother,
would-
and then Our Life After.
Well, okay,
That-
I mean, yeah, like based on the concept of the show, but like that's still what we want to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
Like,
that's
yeah,
all.
it doesn't leave a good taste in your mouth. Because like
Honestly,
you're building this mom character up to be like this amazing like person, and then it's like, oh, whoop, she died. Like you don't get to do anything with it. It's just kind of dumb.
well, I feel like that's kind of like what makes sense as to why he's telling them the story, you know? And like, it realistically, I feel like in any other situation, it doesn't really make sense as to like why the mom wouldn't also be involved in the story, you know?
Well, yeah, but it doesn't make it any less stupid. Are you gonna sit here
I
and
don't know.
tell me that's not dumb?
I don't have a problem with it, honestly. No.
I do.
I expected
the
the
ending
show
was
to end
quick,
once
though.
we met the mother.
Well, yeah, I mean,
But-
it has to end when you meet the mother, but at least do something with the character. Like she doesn't do anything.
I don't know. But back to Friends. Yeah, it's funny all the way through. I love the sarcasm. I love the one-liners of it. It holds up all the way through. Even like it does, like, I think it introduces the relationship between Ross and Rachel, and then like ends it, brings it back, and then kind of like, I don't know, plays with the idea of it in a really well way that it's not like. I think whenever there's points in the episode whenever Rachel and Ross aren't together, like it's not like I'm sitting there being like, okay, yeah, but like when are they actually going to get back together? Like I don't feel that way. I don't think I really felt that way until Rachel got like pregnant. Then at that point I was kind of like, I feel like they're probably going to get back together at some point. But yeah, one of the first shows in a long time that like genuinely like really made me laugh. In something, one of the shows that until I found like my number one usually would be the show that I just had on just with everything that I did, just casually, just background noise, like I'd fall in, fall out of it. But yeah, Friends number 2.
I've never seen Friends.
That's so.
It's kind of wild. I
disrespectful,
highly
I can't
recommend it.
comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Matt,
I've heard Friends is good. I've also heard Friends is garbando.
well, you heard that from the
It really
wrong-
So
depends.
I probably have to form my own opinion on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend you do.
But boys, we are now at the part of the show where we list our number 1 ranking of our top 5 list. Matt, you are starting off with your number 1
Yo.
pick. What is it, sir?
My number 1 pick is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, wow. That's
Didn't see that one coming. I bet.
Yeah. Sounds
It's Always Sunny was the show where I needed something to watch during quarantine because can't go anywhere, obviously. So I fired up Hulu and was like, you know what, Always Sunny. It's always like been on my short list of shows I should watch. I'm gonna give this a try. And like the very first scene of the very first episode, I was like, holy shit, I am all in. I'm gonna binge the whole series because it's just that funny. There's not really a dull episode in the Always Sunny catalog. They're all just so ridiculous and over the top in the stuff that they're able to do and pull off. Like when we were saying before, like how The Office probably couldn't get away with some of the stuff it did now. Always Sunny's been on the air longer and it's gotten away with much worse stuff than Michael's ever done, if we're being honest.
I mean,
Like all the stuff Frank says.
Oh
is
yeah, but like
ridiculous.
I think as times changed, like if they went to try
It
and go
definitely
back to some of
shifts.
those things, like they
Definitely
couldn't.
shifts.
It shifts a little bit, But I still think overall, even in the newer stuff, they say things that
I don't know. I mean,
that's
like,
way
so what you're
worse than what
saying,
they've done on The Office.
Matt, what you're saying is like there's still that like implication.
Well, there's always the implication. They would not say the stuff on TV because of the implication.
No,
And
Matt.
like
Yeah, you're going. Go on.
the dude who plays Mac, that's like his show. Like he's the one who like developed it, and
Yeah.
he described it as he wanted to make the show. He wanted to make friends, but he wanted to make them all hate each other.
It works.
That's like that's sort of the premise, and it definitely works. Like no one on the
Yeah.
show likes each other, but they're all such like pieces of shit that they're all sort of stuck together.
Yeah, like no
Yeah,
one else is
like
gonna hang out with them.
Yeah, no,
So
they
they
all
have
have
to
to
be
like
together.
abide by the consequences of that.
Uh,
Closeted like weirdo buff guy who like eventually comes out as gay and has this whole thing, and like Dennis being like a secret serial killer, and Charlie just being like an idiot.
well, Matt, they didn't prove
Wait,
he
Dennis
killed her.
comes out as gay?
No, Mac
Zach,
does.
Zach didn't finish the show.
Mac does. Yeah, I never finished it.
Oh well, Mac is gay.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
I guess anyone out there who hasn't seen it, no point in watching it.
I mean,
right?
it's joked about. Like they all
It's-
know Mac's gay
Since
before
like
Mac
what
does.
season 2, whenever he's dating the
He's dating the
transgender
tranny.
girl. Yeah.
That was like season 1.
the season 1
Yeah,
or
that was-
whatever.
that was
They've
really
alluded to it ever since that. So, Matt, I think my favorite episode though, at least the one that sticks out to me the most, is the one where Mac and Dennis moved to the suburbs.
I love that
That
episode.
is the
so much.
best one, man.
There's just so many iconic episodes. Like
Yeah.
the one Christmas episode where they find out Charlie's mom is a prostitute,
That one's really good.
and then like the one where it's just them like running the bar because they haven't done that in like 7 seasons.
Yeah.
Like my favorite episode first is the one where Mac and Charlie fake their own deaths to hide from Mac's dad because they think he's gonna kill him.
Oh, that's the best scene whenever they're
I
gonna
love
drive
that.
the car into the wall, and Charlie's like, "All right, yeah, you go do that. That's fine." He just looks out the window, calls him a pussy, and then just drives straight into the wall. Charlie
And then like
freaks out.
they have like the side, like there's not really like side characters in the sense of like Parks and like The Office, but there's like more like reoccurring characters like like the lawyer and Cricket,
yeah.
like all those guys, like the Ponderosas. They're always like there every couple episodes, and they're all hilarious every time. From like putting bath salts in like the wedding milk and stuff like that, and then the lawyer's like the only person who has his shit together, and then constantly it just gets fucked.
Yeah, Matt. The Mac's famous mac and cheese. This is the only thing he knows how to make every single day. And Dennis it's like, Dennis, don't open that closet. It's like I need to go open the closet. And all the mac and cheese fall out. And then the beeping of
And
the
then they have
fire
to sleep in
alarm
bed
the
with the
whole
old
time.
black man.
Yeah.
for like a month or something.
Yeah, it was something like that. But the fire, the smoke detector going off the whole time. He's like, "Newsflash, asshole! I've been here in the smoke detector the entire goddamn time." It's the
But in
best,
like
man.
the early days too, where it's like the episode where they get addicted to crack,
Mm-hmm.
and they serve like
Like some
underage
welfare,
teens.
please.
Like
I have
that
to
kind of
say-
stuff they wouldn't be able to
someone
get away
addicted
with
to
today for sure.
crack.
I have to say, I always end up liking Charlie's episodes more than Glenn's. Or Rob's,
Oh.
I should say, not Glenn's, or Rob's.
The Charlie episodes are the best.
I love
think-
when Charlie
think
just
the ones
becomes
where-
like. Go ahead, Colin. I'm sorry.
I think the ones where Charlie wrote them, I always enjoy them a lot more than Rob's, but that's probably just because I align a lot more with Charlie.
I love the episodes that like Charlie is always like displayed as being like the most messed up one
Oh yeah.
and like least capable, but the episodes that like he's actually the most capable and arguably the smartest out of all of them are the best.
Oh, for sure.
No, the health inspector one, Matt, is fantastic.
Oh, where the whole episode is like one big running shot.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, that episode is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
love
like I like the one where they give him the placebo pill and he thinks he's like a genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the whenever Dee and Dennis get addicted to crack for like welfare or whatever it is, I love whenever they like seasons later, Dennis and Mac are just sitting there, and Mac's like, "If you could do anything right now, what would it be?" And he just
Smoke
pauses. He
crack.
goes, "I'd smoke some crack, man. I want to do crack."
Oh, crack is awesome. You'd love it. Is that the episode whenever they kill the prostitute?
Yeah.
At the
Yeah, I
end
think
too, because
so.
Dee's like, yeah, I did some crack with her on the way here too. You did crack? Yeah, I did crack.
Does she still have any more crack?
And then they just put her in the hallway and are done with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. About
And
anything
I
else
love
to-
that. And like Frank is also an amazing character too. Like bringing in Danny DeVito was like the best decision that they could have
Oh,
ever
yeah.
made. Especially like him and Charlie play off each other so well
Yeah.
too. It's amazing what they're able to do.
Maddie upgraded from a toe knife to a toe spoon.
The toe spoon.
They met the Swedish people. But yeah.
But yeah, Always Sunny. It's just an amazing show. It goes 14 seasons long and there's never a dull moment. So that's why it's my number one.
Well, if that's your number one, Ronnie, why don't you tell us why Friends is your number one?
Friends is my number one because it's the best sitcom that is out there, and I'm not speaking from sarcasm. It's actually my number one for the audience listening at home. I love Friends. I'm convinced Friends is ingrained into my personality. It also helps that like a lot of my friends from school were very into Friends as well. So like if I wasn't watching it with just myself, my friend Kara and I would spit off a lot of references to each other as well. Evan, Greg, everyone, shout out to them. And even in high school, Zach and I watched it together. Also, so like that's how we started it off too. Because we watched The Office together, and then we watched Friends, and then I think How I Met Your Mother was after. But yeah, Office is just the show I can. Friends is just the show I could always have on in the background and listen to or just get involved with. I am convinced that my life is a sitcom, just with the way my life is, the events that happen. And Friends is like the one I identify my sitcom life with the most. And I also identify as Chandler, But yeah, just overall, I love the show. I think the 6th season is when Monica and Chandler get together. Spoiler alert. I think that's the best season of them, and it's like that's when the show takes off into more of like the kind of like development of the characters. Like they spent like 5 seasons like giving you context and teaching you about the characters. Now it's like actually like playing off like throughout the rest of the series. But yeah, Friends is my number one pick, by far. But
Yeah.
Colin, what is your number one pick?
My number one is honest. It is like it might be like one of my favorite shows at this point. It's called The Ranch. It's on Netflix
wow.
for those of you who watch Netflix.
That's not Bill Burr's show, is it?
No, that's with
That's
Ashton Kutcher.
Kutcher and Hyde from That 70s Show.
What's Bill Burr's show?
F is for Family.
F is for Family. Okay.
It is like one of my favorite shows right now, just because it's really funny. It is really funny. And like I keep coming back to is I like things that have lessons. I like things that are like genuine and wholesome, and like I'm not gonna say like if we're talking like a 50 show that's wholesome versus a show now that's wholesome, like obviously there's gonna be like a big difference, but like it is the way that they do it, because it's Ashton Kutcher. I can't remember his name, but it's the guy with the fuzzy hair from That 70s Show. But yeah, like they're both brothers, and then I can't remember his name, but he used to play like the Cowboys back in like the 80s and stuff, and he is a
The guy who
phenomenal
voices
actor.
all the Ram commercials.
I think so. Might be it. But he's a phenomenal actor, and oh my god, is he funny. And it just it teaches you like a genuine lesson at least every episode, sometimes a few in one episode, and it's just a good show. Like it's funny, it has great plot, The writing's pretty good. They come back to a lot of things that you thought like they might have been done with. They ended it recently. It's not a very long one, but it's a really good one.
I liked The Ranch personally, but then once I don't remember the actor's name, but once Hyde was kicked off the show, I just didn't like it anymore. It just didn't hit the same for me personally. But just overall, I like the show. It's just not something I just continue to watch after everything.
I've never seen it.
Yeah,
recommend it.
I watched it about a year and a half ago. I never finished it. It's not really a show like I can really go back and watch anymore. But I mean, it's good. Yeah.
I'm always going back and watching it. It's like one of my favorites. And I think it's
Yeah.
just it's one of those things where like the lessons are what like really makes the show.
Yeah.
But Zach, what is your number one pick?
My number one pick is New Girl. New Girl has replaced Friends by being the show that is always on. I don't think there's a single thing that haven't done with like New Girl being on. Like it's just consistently always just the show I have on. To the point that like I think there was a solid gap of seasons that like I just feel like I missed episodes or didn't see just because like it was always on or whatever. But I've watched it more than a few times at this point. I see a lot of resemblance between like people who are close to my life with characters in the show. I feel like it's like the situations in the show are for sure like heightened like in the same sitcom fashion, but I think they're also kind of grounded to some extent, like in the sense like when Jess is like looking for a job or trying to like she's going through that whole like personal arc of trying to find a job and not feeling good enough and everything. Granted, it's not always like that, for sure. Like I don't think like starting a bar fight with your friends in the middle of the desert is something that typically happens, but
The most unbelievable part about New Girl is 4 basically unemployed people living in that loft in downtown LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah,
Like
I mean,
Schmidt's the only person who has like a stable income. They're living in like a 1,200 square foot loft.
Yeah. And Ron, I know you said this a while ago, but like, I mean, yeah, it's definitely a show that just like makes me really want to like get an apartment with all you guys and like how fun it could be to like live with like friends and everything like that. But yeah, I think it's a great show. I'm not honestly the biggest fan of Jess and Nick as a couple.
No.
I think like when they're together, it's arguably the weakest part of the show. But I think that overall the show like does a really good job at like developing the characters and taking them somewhere. Like seeing Coach there, then leave, but then come back just to leave again. And like the whole Schmidt's whole like I think especially with Schmidt, like from where he starts to where he ends in the show, like there's definitely like so much development in the way of like just his character and like what he goes through to like kind of get to where he goes or get to where he gets. There's a lot of really nice moments. Honestly, I don't know what happened to Winston because I don't think we ever really saw the part that like makes him break as a human being to be as weird as he is. But Winston is hilarious and I love where they take him. Just like whenever
Well, that was
they're
after
doing,
like the like second breakup with the girl.
I don't even know. It's like
It was
when he
pretty
gets
much
the
like
cat.
right when Coach,
Yeah, it was after he gets the.
it was when
after he
Coach
gets the
came
cat.
back.
No, it was.
Yeah.
As soon as he gets the cat, he like changes.
He started to change,
Yeah.
but
A lot funnier.
when Coach comes back, he goes off the deep end just because he was too like kind of still normal as a character, and he was just had a thing like about his cat, but then he just kind of just completely just went weird because they didn't want like just Winston being normal and Coach being pretty normal also. It just doesn't have a good dynamic, so they just made him insane.
Yeah. And it's not even that he's insane. Like he's still like a solid character. Like he has like really great moments and really I think smart development as like through seeing him like be basically unemployed and then go through a few different jobs and then discovering he wants to be a cop, going through that whole process and actually becoming a police officer. I think is very unexpected, like especially when you're watching him in the first season, coming from Latvia, playing basketball. So I really like that. I love his just like just the things he says, like during Bangsgiving, whenever he gets up, he's like, forever for whoever got me, I just want to let you know I've been getting into feet lately, so do with that what you will. Um just things like that, weird stuff, like just weird things he says. But yeah, I love like the dynamic between Nick and Schmidt. I think that's a really good relationship. Yeah. Uh that's pretty much all I have to say about New Girl. It's my favorite show. Like I said, it's consistently on and always on. Honestly, the only show that could probably rival it's like it just being something passively being played is probably South Park. But
Oh,
yeah,
South Park.
I think I've accidentally watched South Park like 4 or 5 times just because like I'll start on season like 3 and like next thing you know it's like season 15.
I believe it.
Yeah.
But boys, now we are at the part of the show where we go through our honorable mentions. This is the part where we list off 3 different shows that didn't quite make the cut, and Matt is going to start it off with his 3 picks.
Well, I had a genuine question first.
Genuine answer.
Honorable mentions. So, like, as far as your guys' list, like, how many of your 5 do you think makes it onto your all-time favorite? Because I know for me, like, I like all these shows, but only like Always Sunny really ends up on my top 5 favorites.
The Ranch has definitely made it on my all-time.
I didn't know if you guys felt that strongly about any of your picks.
No, they're pretty much like all-time for me.
No, like in your all-time favorite shows,
like TV shows in general,
like everything,
like in as a broader category.
2 of them, I'd say. I mean, probably Friends and New Girl. Maybe 2.5 Men.
Yeah, I'm probably in the same boat. 2 or 3 of them, maybe.
Yeah,
depending
like
on
I
how
think
big
like
the list
only
is
one
and
of
what it
mine
is.
would make it for sure.
Yeah, they're definitely just shows I can keep going back and watching. I'm a big sitcom guy. Matt, what are your...
As far as my honorable mentions, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is my number 6. That show is hilarious. I love Andy Samberg. He's awesome. And I think a lot of the side characters, they always get enough stuff to do, and it's just a really fun watch overall. Captain Holt is probably my favorite character on the show. He's always just hilarious when he's on screen. How I Met Your Mother, excluding the ending, is honestly really good.
Uh-huh.
Like, I watched it the first time, and then I was like, oh, the ending kind of sucks. And then I rewatched it, like, a couple years later, and I really enjoyed it until I got to the end again.
It's a great episode. It's a great TV show. Like,
so
cut off the last, like, 7 episodes, and it's great.
I don't know if I'm going to go back and rewatch it again, but I think it's enjoyable. And I liked New Girl when I was watching it, but I think the more I look back on it, the less I enjoy it. But it's still a fun watch for the folks at home. If you are looking for something to watch, go for it.
Cool.
Those are my 3 picks.
Solid honorable mentions. To quickly go through mine, my first one is Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Just recently finished it. Shout out to Matt for recommending it so much. I love the show personally. My second one is America's Dad, George Lopez. The amount of times I would fall asleep to George Lopez just on Nick at Night, rivals just about anything else. And I've seen it through so many times that I love it. And my third honorable mention is Parks and Rec, too, just because that has a solid cast of characters too. A lot of rewatch value in the show, just didn't quite make the cut. Yeah. Colin, what are your honorable mentions?
I already had a few like during this, like Community and stuff, but something that I really want to like bring up is like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air made my 4th, but Saved by the Bell is a really good one. I don't know how many people watched Saved by the Bell back then, but I really enjoyed Saved by the Bell like a lot. Reno 911 is one of the like cop sitcoms. It's like kind of where I think Brooklyn Nine-Nine was like coming from, because in Reno 911 they kind of just let everybody like write their own character instead of having characters written. So everybody was able to like take their own take on how they wanted their police officer or their criminal to be, instead of somebody telling you, hey, here's how you're supposed to act. And then another one that I really enjoyed that I was introduced to about like 3 or 4 years ago from my grandmother was MASH. I really enjoy MASH. Sometimes it has some good lessons, other times it's just kind of your regular sitcom, but it's in the Korean Vietnam War era, and they're the medical units, and it's just like a good all-around show.
I've heard nothing but good things about it. I just don't really know of a way to watch it. I've debated going back and visiting the old times show.
Yeah.
The only thing I know about it was that it had the most viewed series finale in history. That's about it. But Zach, what are your honorable mentions?
So I got The Office as one. It's a great show, like I said. Two and a Half Men is one of mine, just because it's like the first like kind of adult sitcom, I guess, if you want to call it an adult sitcom, that I kind of got into. I started watching it when I was young, so it seemed adult to me. They're talking about like sex and swearing. And then Full House, I mean, what's not? I mean, if I have to explain myself, then you're just not in with it, so I'm not even gonna waste it. But yeah, Full House for sure.
R.I.P. Fuller House, because that show's garbage.
I don't think it's
garbage.
garbage. I think it's just they just didn't do a well job with it.
Yeah,
that's why it's garbage. Yeah, they didn't do a good job with it.
Yeah.
This is I don't know. It's something I just don't enjoy. But
oh, and Young Sheldon. If you,
I haven't watched Young Sheldon yet. I keep meaning to.
I actually haven't seen it, so I
I'm
really
not
can't
gonna
speak
watch
to
it.
it. But
I don't like Big Bang Theory. I'm not gonna like Young Sheldon. But boys, that wraps up this episode of Top 5. Thank you all so much for listening to today's show, and let us know whose list you agree with the most. If you like what you heard, please be sure to leave a like, rating, share our podcast, and also comment on our YouTube video as well. Help that YouTube algorithm go. Leave a like, get that algorithm working to truly show us, the best podcast on the platform. But boys, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
see you guys.